Well, I don't know about you, but me and the Hummingways are definitely ready to get this going. I hear rumors they're still hanging out in the Pillow Fort. Now, with that, we're getting ready to go. But before we start, let me just give you this beautiful splash, as always, made by the lovely Scala Kitty. And we will talk a little bit, just a tiny bit about the format which is going to happen here. I am going to unmute our commentary team so they can listen in. So, how the format is going to go for this, now that commentary is unmuted, we do have 3 matches back to back. We are starting with match 1, which has all 8 of our finalists. We are going to be scrolling through 2 different scenes, so we'll see how quickly I do that. Wish me luck. But the 7th and 8th place of those 2 races will be eliminated and will not continue on. However, the top 6 of the match will continue, and then we will get match 2 immediately or there close to immediately afterwards. And it is only the first 4 of that match who are going to progress to the finals, which will also continue very closely after that. So all of our runners are ready to go. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to our commentary team, and I will get everyone going, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Highway to the Zemus-Zone Finals. I'm your lovely co-commentator for our first match, AlexaLeFay, and joining me today is...
I am Supremacy, and I am really caffeinated and hope everyone is extremely hyped for this 3-match series.
Gosh, you said it. So, without further ado, let's get started. I am excited, Supremacy. Is there anything you're particularly excited for to see in today's match?
Maybe not this first match, but we haven't seen a demist at CPU yet in the league, and I'm really hoping it's in one of these 3 matches.
Me too. Either at CPU or at Mega Sisters without an Earth Crystal. That would be lovely. And with our racers are getting started. We're starting off looking at elmagus, neerrm, Scratchdragon, and Swimmy. And we have a Dark Knight Cecil start and Porum. Cecil handing himself the hook, as one does in Baron.
So I joked earlier that I was really hoping for Dark Knight or Cecil, Porum, Edward, Tella, and Rydia as the party, because that is probably the worst party I could think of.
Oh
And
my
that would be
goodness.
so fitting for just this first battle to get the not 2 last spots.
I couldn't agree more. Oh my goodness. I'm really hoping that your hope ends up being prophetic here. Right away, our racers are starting to diverge just a tiny bit. elmagus rocking his team's colors. neerrm as well, rocking the Troya colors. Good to see some team pride going on here.
Well, looks like we do have a double white mage seed.
Rosa waiting in the Baron, with the Baron soldiers guarding her.
Interesting to see that neerrm has decided to go loot Mist while everyone else is looting Baron. I think most people tend to always loot Baron first, kind of make the loop, see what's in the inn, go around. So interesting to wonder why he's checking Mist without a source of exit even.
I wonder where he's gonna head next. And he's heading to Damsian. Interesting. He's decided to forego Baron for now. It could be that he's taking a path that will prevent him from making more than one dip into Baron. We're seeing our other runners selling some things that they picked up in Baron. Meanwhile, neerrm is raiding Damsian. And we...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we have life potions in the Baron item shop.
Yeah, I saw a tiara from the Damsian treasury, which will be really helpful since we know that we already have 2 people that can use it.
I do love that piece of headgear. Very much. Great magic defense. Just an all-around good item.
Totally doesn't
Particularly.
make you evil.
No, definitely not. No tiaras make you evil. We definitely didn't just see that happen.
So Neerm's
And
grabbing the hovercraft. So he's doing that really early. I wonder if he's just getting it for later since it's a hook start, or nope. It looks like he's immediately gonna go check what's in Eblan Cave.
interesting. Makes sense though with the hook start. Meanwhile, Scratchdragon looting Agart, checking the item shop in there, and heading to Mysidia.
And just popping
And,
in from the background, I will note that Rivers has made the same play as neerrm, except he went immediately to Damsian, so he's a little further ahead.
Thanks, Natara. Oh, I just love teamwork. It makes the dream work. neerrm popping into Eblan, gonna check that item shop. Meanwhile, Scratchdragon heading into Silvera. elmagus picking up that hovercraft. And Swimmy has found sirens. In Troya Item Shop 1. Troya Item Shop 2, not really having a whole lot. elmagus looks like he's heading for the Cave Eblan character spot as well. neerrm stopping to open a few chests along the way. I think that this is an interesting move. Considering his party's level, some of these chests could be quite scary.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't remember seeing Neerm save, but I might have just missed it. But if he didn't save, that's
Switching over to our other 4 racers, we have Invenerable, EizanTayama, Nightdew, and Rivers. Nightdew is on Mount Hobbs, having discovered Yang, our 4th character that we know about so far, guarded by the 2 Baron guards on Mount Hobbs. Not a great fight to see here with a physical attacking party, and yep, we do see Nightdew take the reset.
Alright, looks like there was a duplicate Porum in Cave Eblan, so nothing too fancy there. But we know our 4 party members now are going to be Cecil, Porum, Rosa, and Yang, which are not. It's not a bad party at all. I don't think you're going to go with the Reflect White strats, but with enough levels, Yang can definitely get some good damage with very minimal equipment. And it looks like we also saw the King and Queen Eblan at the Rubicante spot, so this, as far as hook seeds go, this is looking kind of free, but there could still be something really nasty in there in the King Queen Eblan vanilla spot.
It's definitely like one of the bosses that you want to see in that hook seed spot, in that Rubicante boss spot. We see Invenerable heading just behind Nightdew into Antlion Cave. And Rivers taking some time to loot a little bit, having saved in that save room in the Cave of Eblan, opening some of those chests that he missed on the way down. Looks like he had an exit in his inventory. Always good to see.
Oh yeah, actually having an exit in the inventory makes it a lot more likely that you would want to go make that play early. Just because when you get to the end, you can just exit out and not have to walk all the way back.
And EizanTayama taking on the Baron Guards.
Yep, so it looks like Nightdew is going to give us the first look at what any of the key item spots are. And it looks like we have Antlion at Antlion. So I must say, is this even significantly shuffled?
I am not certain of the shuffledness of this seed. However, I can tell you that the Antlion is a strange-looking monster. That's all I'll say about him. Or excuse me, her. Where are my manners?
So Nightdew resets out.
Probably just wanted to, oh no, heading out of Antlion, gonna do this fight later. I don't entirely blame him. With just Porum and Cecil doing Shadow Sword damage, that's gonna be a long fight. He probably does not want to take the time to do so. I will note that Rivers also took the time to check out the Kaipo item shop before heading into Antlion himself. Invenerable is gonna start taking on his Antlion, and let's see what he does. Meanwhile, EizanTayama is heading into Mysidia, gonna look at what is in that item shop. Our first runner to do so on screen, if I recall correctly. And we see Hourglasses there. That could help out with that Mount Hobbs guard fight. Ooh, I'm also noticing some Zeus gauntlets in Eizan's inventory. That's going to be very useful on the seed with both Cecil and Yang. Yang in particular can make excellent use of that Zeus Gauntlet, get that plus 10 strength and vitality. And Nightdew is raiding to Roya.
Yeah, looks like that's where one of those both of those
Zoot Gauntlets.
Yeah, and Artemis arrows. That treasury was the place to be.
Evidently.
I want to say they found a samurai bow, but I could have just been seeing samurai arrows. But the arrows definitely make Porum very useful, or especially Rosa once they beat those bosses to get her. Well, it looks like Invenerable was beating down the antlion with some kind of staff on Porum. So I don't know if he found a power staff or something else, but he was doing respectable damage. Looks like we've now switched back over to our other 4 racers. Elmagus is going into his Baron fight, or Baron Soldiers fight to get Yang. Scratch looks like he just finished that. Swimmy is in Cave Eblan, and neerrm is doing the world tour of shopping. Abda Jr. in chat asking if there was a crystal sword somewhere, and I have not seen it. But it's possible. If there's a crystal sword, then that's really good for these runners. And I think Alexa just disconnected, so...
Yeah, her internet just died, so I will be your backup commentary team, and I definitely know what's happening.
Alright, cool. So let's see,
I can confirm that Antlion provides the package, if we didn't know that earlier. So as both Invenerable and Rivers have gotten that on the other screen, however, on our current screen, we'll see that from elmagus here now shortly. And is Scratchdragon the first one to go against the wall that is Wyvern?
It looks like Scratch has found the Wyvern at Fabul Castle, but is able to get that Star Veil off, although we'll probably, with just Dark Knight Cecil alive, don't know if we'll be able to finish the fight. Actually, it looks like it's a pretty slow spot with Dark Knight Cecil agility, so might be able to do this. It's able to get off 2 life potions before the Reflect even comes out, so...
Yeah, that's it. I kidnapped Alexa. I'm a monster. Yeah, that is still a really mean spot to find Wyvern in, but again, these are our top 8, so if anyone can deal with that early Wyvern, it is certainly this group of folks.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm certainly interested to see who they will potentially get from that package and whether anyone will actually check it.
We can let's hope that it's a duplicate Cecil, but Dragon Mist is in the Kaipo Inn.
Aha.
From the looks of it, it seems like nobody has found any attack items in any of the chests, which is definitely hampering all of their progress right now. Some good attack items, like even just a cheap Boreas or Zeus Rage or something along those lines, would have definitely been helping to speed up these fights, but as it looks like they're relegated to just hitting A.
I will tell you, I do know who the package provides, and I will say most folks are going to go ahead and do that. They are not going to reset out of that unless they find this person somewhere else. But we'll wait till the end of the Wyvern fight here with Scratch to switch over so everyone can see.
You're such a tease.
That's me. Okay, with
All
that.
right, Scratch does take down the Wyvern. Oh, looks like it is Palom at the package spot, so we are going to get a Quake Kid, and that means that we know who our final party is going to be. We have the twins, Cecil, Rosa, and Yang. And do you have any idea what the item from Fabul was?
Fabul. No, I missed it. However, our lovely trackers are tracking individually, and I can confirm it was the adamant. So, not particularly useful on this seed, but it is another key item, getting them closer to that 10 key items. And why is getting 10 items important, Day? Or Supremacy? I know who you are.
So 10 key items is important because with the X2 flag, when you hit 10 key items, you get double experience from all the enemies that you kill. So if you are, say, at 8 or 9 key items and you have a grind ahead of you, you might be in go mode. Sometimes it's worth it if you can have a few quick checks just to get those items to get to 10, because it essentially cuts your grind in half. If you're doing something like the D Machine or the King Ryu grind, it can even cut it down further than that because of the life glitch.
So that's definitely something they want to go for. A lot of the problems sometimes come in if they get to go mode but don't have their 10 key items. Do they have a good grind spot? Are they best off getting more key items to speed up that leveling? Or do they take the slower leveling for hopefully quicker progression to Zeromus? It's kind of the eternal question.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we are stuck with Cecil and the Seed, the Adamant's not too terrible of an item to find, because when you get the Legend Sword, if you get the Legend Sword, you're at least guaranteed the Excalibur, so you know that he'll be able to put out some serious damage.
Yeah, and as pointed out by chat, having both twins early is actually really underrated because that twin command is quite powerful in the early game. Plus, isn't reflectable by wall, so can be very useful, especially until Palom gets Quake.
Yeah. So half of the twin spells are reflected by wall. So if you're casting twin into wall, it's a little bit of a gamble. Flare will reflect, but Comet won't.
Gotcha. My bad. So I will note some of the racers are switching their colors to go along with the teams they were part of in the teams they were part of for the round of 16, but that is optional. That was not, they all talked about it and agreed it was optional. So those who are choosing to change it are choosing to lose that little bit of time to go ahead.
And we appreciate everyone who does rep the team colors.
Yes, we do. Okay, but it does look like we have our next person to run against the Wyvern wall, and hopefully we'll do just as well as Scratchdragon did. So let's see how Inven does. Oh, also, it's all Rivers is also there. So let's. Oh, Inven just reset. I'm ahead. I apologize.
Looks like Rivers had zero problem getting Starveiled up on the party, so he is just Wyvern just one-shots itself.
Very nice.
So it might have actually been worth it for Inven to try getting the Starveiled off, because that spot is slower than he probably thought.
Absolutely. With that, let's switch back over to our other team. Yes, Alexa does sound like Natara. She's had sudden internet issues, so I am filling in currently.
I find it really interesting that neerrm is choosing to loot what most... Oh, wait, he's got exits. Never mind. I was going to say he's choosing to loot a lot of places that people skip without a source of exit, but then I saw he's got a stack of exits in the inventory, so never mind. Looks like Magus is going to be going towards the Wyvern, see if he'll be able to beat it with Star Veil usage, like we've seen from who else was it? Scratch and Rivers.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting. So Magus chooses to just attack instead, and then the Mega Nuke misses Porum, and that's why Tiaras are good. Looks like Scratch is going to get his Quake Kid. And I'm curious to see, after the initial round of, okay, let's do Fabul, let's do Hobbs, let's do Antlion, who decides to try and get Rosa or go to Ordeals?
Yeah, and that can be quite a different play. So Ordeals can be really big waste of time where it has 3 bosses and only 1 key item, and depending on what that key item is, but then again, Ordeals is pretty important where you have Dark Knight Cecil in your party, and with this being C3, you will only ever find 5 characters. Everyone else you find will be a duplicate of one of those 5. So you definitely are going to want that Paladin Cecil, which does actually make Ordeals almost inevitable unless someone's making a very kind of more risky kind of 4 character or less play.
Yeah, and I know if we go back to the recap, we know that in the round of 16 matches, elmagus had the Dark Knight Cecil in the party and still completely skipped Ordeals, taking him all the way to Zeromus. So he may opt to do that again since they do have Underworld access.
Absolutely. And Magus is fairly well known for his great dislike of Manor Deals. So that could be in somebody else's favor, but we'll see. Okay, so it's neerrm's turn to get the package, and we'll see whether he turns it in or not to get his Palom.
Yep, looks like Scratch is making quick work of these Arc Imps. I actually used an Hourglass on them. I'm not sure I would have wasted an Hourglass for the Kaipo in spot. It's got ridiculously low hit points and attack power and everything else. But
especially with those imps in that spot, like, that's, at least I thought I saw the imps.
Yep, that was Dark Imps.
Excellent. With 8 screens up, it's easy to get confused. Okay. Yeah, this party...
I can imagine.
Yeah, this party really isn't bad, honestly. Very useful characters. The only problems with Porum, she's an excellent white mage with, learning things fairly quickly, but she has really low HP growth, so that can be problematic come time for Zeromus. But again, if there's anyone who can make that work, it's these round of 8 runners.
Yep, we know that none of the runners are going to have a quick source of weak, because no Tella and no Fusoya. So, but there are Sirens, so they will have very easy grind options available to them. At the very worst, they will be able to grind on eggs in the Underworld, but I don't expect them to have too much trouble grinding on the Gold Dragons. We know there's Artemis arrows that have been found, so I expect some of the runners to just abuse the quote-unquote arrow glitch, where if it doesn't get back to your turn after you fire an arrow, it doesn't fully remove it from your inventory. So it also works with Berserk, so you can just throw an Hourglass, Berserk whoever has Artemis arrows, and they will just destroy the Gold Dragons.
Absolutely. Okay, and I have seen someone on the other side finish this Luge fight, as Luge is the second fight in the Baron Inn, and to get their next key item, though I did miss which character is sitting there.
Well, the character at Baron Inn is Rosa, but...
That is a fabulous party. You've got some punching. You've got Cecil, where it means all the ATB is going to be going through him for your party. Yeah, exactly. He's either an extra puncher person, or you can kill him for that firm ATB. So, very nice. So that does give some of our folks a full party already, and that is a great thing to have. Sometimes you have to search a bit to find that last party member in a C3 seed. So having all 4, or all 5, sorry, right away means you can just focus on leveling. As soon as you have whatever you need for the grind, you can do it immediately, which will make things a little faster later.
Yeah, absolutely. It also helps because now you know exactly what to sell from your inventory whenever you need money.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're on 4 characters and you find like a Masamune or something from a key item location, you're like, okay, let me hold on to this. If I find Edge as my 5th character, he'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you see something like that, you're just like, ooh, free money!
Free money, and let us see at the end of this Luge fight what our key item is. Okay, it looks like it is the Earth Crystal, and with that, we're going to transition back over to the other side, where Rivers appears to be... Oh, we're going to do it twice, just because we can. Rivers appears to be running around looking for extra bosses to fight. So he was just in the Octomam spot where the evil wall was hiding.
Yeah, my guess is trying to just fish out and see if there's a D-Mist hiding in one of those early locations. See if maybe there's a chance that there's a D-Mist that has the magma key. We've seen that before, where D-Mist was in the vanilla location with the magma key, so knowing that, you know, even though Rivers knows it's King Queen Eblan at the Rubicante spawn, is probably still trying to not go the hook route if possible. And we see a Volvalis as the first boss on Ordeals. The good thing about this spot is that the magic defense in this spot is 0, so her spin form doesn't really modify it very much. You can still hit her with spells as you would normally. So Twin should actually make pretty quick work of her.
It's always nice when you get a Val that you can use magic on, as it can be really difficult. Sometimes you can't even hit her depending on the spot where you find her, so this is fabulous.
Yeah, the physicals are still going to be rough, but as long as Palom and Porum stay alive, they should be able to just twin their way to victory here.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like we've got both Invenerable and Rivers doing a grind on Man Ordeals, the Liliths being the best fight to do that grind on Man Ordeals, especially with what they have available to them. And by using any life potions they might have, you can use the vitality glitch, which will allow you to bring the enemy back, but they don't actually come back, they die right away. So you do get the extra experience as if they did come back. So that can be useful, and I think we did find life potions earlier.
Yes, unfortunately, the Liliths actually count as undead, so the life glitch does not work.
Aha, of course it wouldn't work, because they were just using Cure 2s on them.
Yep, similar to bosses, you cannot life glitch undead as well. I've learned that out the hard way as well.
Why would they do that to us? We just want to life glitch some Liliths in peace.
I've also tried to life glitch the King Queen Eblan. It did not work.
That is a smart thing to try, though. Ooh, D Lunar is on the other side of the bridge for EizanTayama.
Yeah, so it looks like Rivers either didn't check the package or decided not worth it, because he does not have both of the twins. So with no black magic source, this Valvalus will actually be a lot harder for him than for the other runners. He can still use aim with Rosa, but the physical attacks are just not going to cut it for that fight.
No, not at all.
It looks like Invenerable did enough grind to get Palom Virus, so he's just gonna spam Virus against Valvalus and be totally fine. Eizan is now on the next fight, which is the D-Lunars in the Mylon Z spot. So D-Lunars here are not that bad at all. Their script is just do some physical attacks, cast Fire, which is HP percentage based, and then eventually after enough attacks they cast the Breath attack, which we found out from this league can be reflected. And as long as you don't hit them with a fight command, they will not wall themselves up and start reflecting viruses.
Looks like Nightdew is going for his Palom, so that's going to be useful as well.
Yep, it looks like Rivers has decided to completely bypass Mount Ordeals, doesn't have the power to get through that Velvalis, so is going to go do something else.
And I don't know how much is left available to him, especially where he went looking for bosses to level up on earlier. So did find some sirens in Toroya, so that's nice. So either he finds a spot on the overworld to do that level grinding. It could go into Zot, and I think that's actually what he is doing with the Earth Crystal, as there are 2 optional characters there that he can get. Plus, he can get all the treasure in Toroya on his way.
Yep, if he finds Palom there, then it definitely does end up as a little bit of a time save, but if this Ordeals play is what's required, then everyone else will be a bit ahead. And we should be seeing what the item is in just a second. Just a Stardust Rod on Ordeals, so not exactly what you wanted to see. The Paladin Cecil should help for the rest of the run, and the Stardust Rod is a fantastic item, and with Palom you have someone to throw it on. Should definitely help out a little bit of the early game, but if you already have Sirens and have gotten either Quake or Virus on Palom, you're probably not going to be using the Rod item too much, except maybe against some walled enemies.
With that, we're going to transition over to the other team, where we do have Scratchdragon in the Tower of Babel fighting the Dark Elf currently, which I think, if I saw correctly, is the first of the 2 fights up there.
Yep, definitely not the worst fight you can get. Spot does have pretty low magic attack, so its magic isn't going to be doing much. However, the physicals coming out from the post-change will be pretty bad. However, since this is N1, it can be stopped with an Hourglass. So basically just need to push it into the meat change phase and then throw an Hourglass on it, and the rest of the fight should be pretty easy. Looks like all the healers are piggied, so that's a problem though.
And we're going to fight the ever most vicious egg for Scratchdragon.
So what's funny and that I find a little bit ridiculous is that this egg has a green dragon in it, and the green dragon is not only stronger than the yellow dragon, but gives like 10% of the experience.
Yeah, it looked like barely even that. That was very much so not a lot of experience.
Yeah, if you've got a decent supply of hourglasses, I find that just random encounters in the tower is going to be a bit more experience, because you can get the double Mad Ogre plus double Balloon fight, and that gives you the most experience when you're using the life glitch. So if you've got a decent supply of hourglasses, you can just throw the hourglass and then life glitch everything, and it ends up somewhere around like 15,000 experience or something, which is really good.
I seriously love these egg fights. But it's still free experience, since, if they haven't. And I see quite a lot of Bacchuses in Scratchdragon's inventory, or just it was 5 individual ones.
Yep, and it looks like elmagus did do Ordeals, because he does have the Paladin Cecil in his party now.
Yeah, and it looks like he is also making the Zot play. So it seems to be, we kind of have a bit of a... It seems most people are starting to make their way to the underground, as there doesn't appear to be any other access to either underground, or the moon, though. With these particular flags, you shouldn't have to go to the moon to go under, in order to be able to go underground. But yeah, some folks still making their way through Ordeals as well. It's definitely interesting how the routing is varied, even though it's a very kind of limited path that all the runners have, considering they're being forced to go underground or go to Zot. So it'll be interesting to see what is hanging out at Zot.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like that is the main difference now between some of our runners is everyone's kind of done Ordeals, done the rest of the overworld, and now it's a choice between do you go Zot or do you go through the tower?
Absolutely, and depending
Oh,
on what's
Tower
in
of Babel.
yeah, absolutely, and depending on what's in Zot, again, that could really be the play. But if there's nothing here, like if you've already got a 5-person party, it's just going to be duplicate characters. And if that item you get in here is really nothing, Zot can be a total waste of time comparatively to Babel, which is no key no key item, but it does give you access to the underground and a lot of key items and options.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Ubik asking in chat, what was that ruby spot? It is the King Queen Eblan. So once they get past this Dark Elf, it will be a free fight.
Thank goodness.
You see a not free fight at the Vanilla Mega Sister spot with Ashura.
It's almost vanilla. Almost. Yeah, there's a few different ways to handle Ashura too when you're low levels like this. If you do have Moon or Star, I think it only works with Star Veils. If you do have Star Veils, you can cast them on yourself and then use another one to bounce a wall onto Ashura. If you have a character with wall, which you often don't this early, you can just put a wall on her. Or there is a method to attacking only when her face is at a certain side, and that does trap her in a life 1 round. So you don't have to worry about her cure 4ing and fully curing up all the damage you've been working on.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you can do. It takes a lot of practice to pull that off, though, because the timing is very precise.
Yeah. Getting some trap chests. Checking for Swimmy, which is not a bad idea at all, because not only is there some good experience in those trap chests, it is an opportunity to get a good item, as the trap chests are not randomized in the same way that the regular chests are, and they can have a very good item in them.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why Scratch is not using an Hourglass on the Dark Elf, just lifing up his party, casting Virus. Once the Dark Elf changes into the second form, it loses the boss bit, so it is susceptible to stuff like Weak and the Stop/Hourglass.
Yeah, it looks like Magus is choosing to peace out of Zot. Finding Ashura in that spot just not worth the effort at this point. And we'll see whether anyone else tries it or ends up going back later.
Yep, and Scratch does get through the Dark Elf spot, so looks like it's going to go run and save quick, just to not have to do that again in case something goes horribly wrong with King Queen Eblan. But he should be our first runner into the Underworld at this pace, although I don't know what's going on in the other floor.
And speaking of the other floor, whoop, we'll just swap over there so we can keep an eye on what they're doing. And they are all also attempting to make their way underground. No one has made it fully to the underground yet. However, they are making some good progress.
Yeah, it looks like Invenerable might be the last one to be checking the going into Cave Eblan here.
I'm not sure about the last, but I know he did, because he now has the Earth Crystal, we know he did go back and fight the Wyvern at Fabul, which EizanTayama, I believe, was trying just a few moments ago and did not do. So he's going to attempt to get his Rosa from the Baronin.
Gotcha. Looks like Nightdew is through Vivalis, so we'll just have the D-Lunar fight, and I didn't even see who was inside of the Ordeals area. Crystal Room, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. So yeah, and as expected, River's getting through that King and Queen Eblan fight very easily. Because this is just no free lunch 1 and not no free lunch 2, any bosses such as the King and Queen Eblan who have an alternate fight condition or alternate win condition still have that alternate win condition. So as long as you just stay alive, you can just wait and they will become conscious and the fight will end. So making it very easy in this flag set.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to know if Rivers went up the Earth Crystal and did the same thing as elmagus did, saw Shura, didn't get past it, and then just decided nope, and decided to go through the hook route instead, or if he just went there and looted and decided that he would go back to the hook.
It looks like Nightdew is being the next person to get not only their Stardust Rod, but to turn their Paladin Cecil or their Dark Knight Cecil into a more useful Paladin Cecil.
Yeah, it looks like Rivers is still on his Dark Knight Cecil, so never went back to try and kill that Velvalis. Instead, just he doesn't have a Black Mage yet because he still doesn't have Palom, so that fight was just not going to go well for him. But it looks like he is either the first or second into the Underworld. Don't know if Scratch got there first, but
he's the second, but not by much. They're both of them actually ran right for the Fey March.
Yep, definitely, I think the most common play. You don't want to run directly to the Sylph Cave unless you already have the pan, because if you hit the Sylph Cave first, then do the Fey March, and you find the pan there, you look kind of silly.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you do have to make that Sylph dive without the pan, but you don't want to risk it unless you really have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, nice gold apple there for Rivers.
Yeah, with this party, gold apples are definitely going to be useful because it means less grinding you need to do to keep Porum alive on Zeromus.
Yeah, and for those who are not familiar with the Japanese item, the gold apple gives a permanent 100 HP to whoever you give it to. So when you have a low HP character such as Porum, those gold or silver apples, which give 50, are absolutely invaluable. You will not find them in the shops on these particular flags, so any of them that are found around will be very, very useful.
And we find the Twin Harp in Fey March, so we might have some music hype.
And yes, for those who are just tuning in, I am not Alexa. I am Natara the Restreamer. I'm just filling in.
I'm Alexa.
I was hoping it would be. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for the patience, folks, as we dealt with some internet connectivity issues. So, looks like Invenerable's pushed through.
Indeed. And we see Rivers has found Rubicante and CPU as the Fey March bosses. Decides to do a quick check to see if it's Rubicante or the Elements fight. Not 100% sure why. I feel like that's not the best knowledge that you want to spend your time for, but knowledge is certainly power, so.
I love seeing Wyvern go down like in one hit. It's just so satisfying to see Rosa just like destroy Wyvern.
Yeah, Rosa with Artemis arrows just makes very quick work of Wyvern wherever she's at.
I'm really enjoying the divergence that we're seeing. So many different pathways with so few key items. Everybody's trying to find and clear as many spots as they can.
Yeah, looks like Invenerable has decided to grind some eggs, get some levels, make the rest of the run going to be a little bit easier. Already has Quake, so is not doing it just for that. Probably wants to get Rosa a few levels, probably up to Blank or Berserk.
You know, it's brain food, the eggs, so it makes sense. You want your 3 mages there to get some more of their spells, and you want your fighters to beef up a little bit with some of that dragon protein. Makes perfect sense to me. Oof. River is heading back out of the Underworld, and
More than likely going to go turn in Sheila 1, I think. And then we shall see if he opts to go towards the Twin Harp since he's already here, or decides to go for a different route.
question in chat, can we pause the race for like 2 minutes while someone takes a call? Sure.
Nope.
Just kidding.
Hard nope.
Invenerable diving into the land of summoned monsters. Gonna take a quick peek at those bosses.
Alright, looks like we have the Baron key from Sheila, so especially since Rivers does not have his 5th party member yet, that might be something worth considering. We know that Dark Knight Cecil is the first boss, which in the Bygone spot should not be giving him a whole lot of trouble, especially with Yang in the party. But he also has the option to go do Twin Harp. It looks like neither of those are very good options, and he's heading somewhere else.
Switching back to our other 4, we're seeing Scratchdragon take down Mylon 1. Meanwhile, neerrm is putting the bash on some Stalemen. Swimmy is heading out of Babel and going to the land of summoned monsters.
And Scratch is in Dwarf Castle. So finds the Mist Dragon.
Ooh, there's Derek. There go our dreams.
But what's so special about the Mist Dragon in these flags?
On No Free Lunch, which is that lovely N flag that you're seeing in the flag set, the Mist Dragon gives you the key item that you would ordinarily find at Edward's bedside in Terraria. The No Free Lunch flag essentially gives you, well, no free lunch. It gives you no free characters and no free key item. So the characters from Damsian, the Underground Waterway, and Mysidia are all taken out of the rotation, as well as that key item from Edward in Terraria. Thanks for the question.
Looks like Scratch also still has the Dark Knight Cecil, so there are quite a few of our runners that have decided that Ordeals is not the way to go, or they went up Ordeals, saw the Valve list, and said, nope, not doing that.
And honestly, today in the finals, it makes sense to not waste any time that you might be wasting. So I totally understand the decision to put off Ordeals as much as possible, particularly with this party. And with the twins, Rosa and Yang, you've got a decent setup for some reflect strats and a physical fighter. Ooh, and the Misty Hand of Golbez. I love seeing Mist Dragon at this spot because of this color effect that ends up happening.
Yeah, all of the palette swap glitches that happen with the randomizer are all great.
Really enjoy them. Meanwhile, neerrm heading into his Dark Elf fight, gonna push through into the Underground shortly. Elmagus doing his first sweep of Underground checks, and Scratchdragon about to reveal what that key item is.
It's an Excalibur, so anyone that has done Ordeals will probably be happy with that. Scratch, having not done Ordeals, is probably not thrilled about it, because it means either doing Ordeals or just selling it.
Picking up some vampires there, that's interesting. Supremacy, why would one pick up vampires? Isn't that just a garbage item that casts, like, what, the Drain spell? No one uses that.
Well, this late in the game, you've got Quake, so I don't know how often you're actually using the vampires. However, if you find them early, they are an amazing attack item. Do 600 to 800 damage and give you the health back. So when you know, if they had had a few vampires when the party was just Dark Knight Cecil and Porum, it would have made all the early bosses much easier. When you're already in the underground, you've got like level 30. I don't know so much about using vampires.
Wow, I had no idea that they were so useful. Checking in with some of our other runners, we have Scratchdragon and Swimmy cracking open some eggs, gonna use some coffins and gain some levels for their party. Not a bad idea, particularly with so many spots left to check and no path to the moon or crystal in sight. And elmagus in Dwarf Castle, taking on that Mylon 1 fight. So we'll be heading back up to the overworld. And Scratchdragon gonna go take that that first key item from Sheila, fulfilling the requirements. neerrm experiencing some piggyification against the Dark Elf. Looks like he has found a tiny bit of trouble here. And elmagus finishing up that Mylon 1 fight, gonna find Mist Dragon, and Scratchdragon no doubt heading to turn in the Mist Dragon key item spot. Didn't mention it before, where you turn in the Mist Dragon key item is with Rydia's mom in the Village of Mist, who appears there after you've taken out the Mist Dragon.
Yep, and the item is, drumroll please,
Bum bum bum.
a
Ooh,
white shirt.
robe. That is a lovely item. Gives you a plus 15, if I recall correctly, to your will stat, the white magic spell stat. And with 2 white mages in the party, that is not a bad item to have. It is Rose's ultimate armor in the vanilla game. Great thing to have, especially with what looks like a reflect strat party. Speaking of which, what are these reflect strats that we keep talking about, Supremacy?
So on Zeromus, there is one of his mechanics is that he's got basically the maximum amount of HP allowable by the game, which is 65,000. But once you do about, a little over 3/4 of that, he will refill his HP back to max and then switch phases. However, this only happens when you hit with a direct attack or a direct spell that would trigger a counterattack. So what people have found out is that if you kill him or if you only damage him by reflecting spells against your party, it does not trigger any of those counters, meaning that he will never get his HP refilled. So if you can deal all 65,000 of the damage with reflected spells, you essentially cut his HP in half and only have to do half the fight.
So that means that we are likely going to see some very quick Zeromus fights. Meanwhile, we had a question in chat. What does it take to go defeat Zeromus? What is required before you defeat Zeromus? And that question is from Skywalker Ranch. In order to defeat Zeromus, you need 2 things. You need the crystal, which is used in the vanilla game by Cecil to proc Zeromus and turn him into a form where he can be damaged. And you need to find a way to the moon, whether that be the darkness crystal, which in the randomizer gives you access to the big whale, which can take you to the moon, or the pass, which in the vanilla game gives you access to a little extra area, essentially, in the game. And in Terraria, it's like a little dancer's bar, essentially. But in this game, it has been modded to take you directly to the Zeromus fight. Meanwhile, we have one of our most amazing things coming up here on Invenerable's screen. It looks like he is going to give us the music. Let's listen in. Ooh, that's some Final Fantasy V. I like it. I'm into it. So one of the things that Boardface and the rest of the development team of Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise have done to make this game so wonderfully random and interesting is that the Twin Harp music that plays during this part, as you're seeing in Invenerable's screen, is randomized to any one of a number of different songs from video games. When we see Bagan here at the at the Dark Elf spot, and we see Golbez fighting riversmccown on the bottom right.
Golbez was actually the Baron King all along.
Who knew? I always suspected him. I thought something was wrong. It's he was training knights to become dark knights. Like, what's up with that? Of course, it's Golbez. He's like the ultimate dark knight. Invenerable using Quake to take those arms down to size on Bagan. Now this spot has the highest magic defense in the game, so we'll likely be seeing some berserk spells go off, and indeed we do. Meanwhile, EizanTayama fighting against the King and Queen of Eblan. Gonna push through that hook seed. And Nightdew not far behind.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about the Dark Elf spot, the transformed one, where there's actually a new boss, is that if it's one of the multi sprite encounters like Baigan and his arms, CPU, guards, or something, only the one that has the bulk of the hit points actually gets all the magic defense. So you saw that Quake was doing full damage to the arms and then 1 damage to Baigan himself.
That's an interesting little tidbit that I didn't even know. And that's another one of the beautiful things about this game, is that I've played maybe the vanilla game 50 times and the randomizer another 50 times, and I'm still learning new things about this game, and that's really one of the things that makes it so beautiful to me. Another thing that makes it beautiful to me is our lovely community, of which you're listening and a part of and chatting. Y'all really make this worth it for me. It's all you. It was always you.
Yep, it looks like neerrm has finally got into the underground. Magus is giving us more twin harp music. As is Swimmy.
Give the people what they want, the twin harp music. Now that list of what songs is randomized into the game is a closely guarded secret by the development team. So I'm always delighted when I hear a new one.
Looks like Scratch decided that finding that Excalibur at Dwarf Castle means let's go get Paladin Cecil and give him an Excalibur.
And let's see if that has an impact on how quickly he gets through the rest of the fights in the game. Elmagus getting through that first part of the Dark Elf fight, gonna put on some of that lovely music for us soon. Just after SwimmyLionni finishes up this Bagan fight.
Yep, the screen swapped before we could see what the item there was, so hopefully we'll be able to see what it is from one of these two.
I also hope for that. Meanwhile, it looks like Scratchdragon's looking to turn in that twin harp too. Everybody's looking to get those points for giving the chat and the community what they want with the music. There are no points for doing that, other than the key items that you get.
It is the final day. Giving chat what they want always puts you ahead. Even if you don't win, you're ahead in chat size, and isn't that what truly matters?
Mir making his first round of underground checks, and Elmagus gonna fight the captain of the Baron Guard, who's been hiding out in the Cave Magnus all along. You would have thought that he would have just grabbed the Earth Crystal for everyone himself, but this is a randomizer after all. neerrm noping out of that Rubicante and CPU fight. Both bosses that you do not want to tangle with at the Land of Summoned Monsters, pretty much at all. But definitely not at these levels. And neerrm gonna pop some sirens and crack open a few eggs, gain some levels for his party. Not a bad idea, as we've seen some of our other runners do so far.
Yeah, I don't think Rubicante at that spot is too bad. Definitely going to be pretty annoying, but the magic power at that spot is not the worst. The Fire 2s and Fire 3s are survivable. It's when you get a physical attacking boss in that spot that things start to really be difficult. Leviathan in the vanilla game never uses physical attacks, but has a very high physical attack damage score. So when you get a boss randomized there that does have high physical attacks, it hits really hard and it hits really fast.
And it looks like the item from the Cave Magnus was the Rat Tail, which no doubt we'll be seeing our runners turn in immediately for another key item at the Tail Collector over by Silvera. It looks like SwimmyLionni might be our first runner to head up the Tower of Zot and turn in their Earth Crystal.
Well, a few runners have headed up the Tower of Zot while you were disconnected. However, the boss at the Mega Sister spot is Ashura, and the ones that we saw go up there said nope, and then ran right back out.
Well, that Elven Bow is definitely going to be useful in that fight. The Elven Bow gives you a sneaky +5 to your Wisdom stat, the Black Magic stat, and also does quadruple damage against Mage-type enemies, of which Ashura is one.
Yep,
We may
definitely.
see Rosa throwing some arrow shade at Ashura. Oh, and we see elmagus heading up the Tower of Zot too, going to take on Azura. Didn't see elmagus turn in that rat tail yet. No doubt going to try to route that in or see if he can pick up a pink tail somewhere and turn that in as well. neerrm taking on some more dragons, going to gain some more levels for his party. And Scratchdragon in the thick of his Bagan fight, just taking down snake arms left and right.
Yep, I think this is going to be Magus's take 2 at Ashura, so feeling a lot more confident that he can take it down this time. Probably has either Star Veiled, more Star Veiled, or just more attack power.
Switching over to our other set of runners, we see Invenerable diving the Baron Castle. Looks like he's picked up the Legend Sword as well, so even if he did not do Dwarf Castle, he'll be able to create an Excalibur.
I can confirm that the Legend Sword was the item from the Tower of Zot.
Thank you, Natara.
And I can
our
also...
eyes
Yeah.
where we need eyes.
I also want to
Excuse
let
me.
you know that Rivers has a pink tail, and he has turned it in, though I did not catch where he picked that up.
If I had to guess, I'd say Baron, because I think when we last left Rivers, he was fighting Golbez at the Baron King spot.
I also want to point out that Rivers has the Darkness Crystal, our first runner to do so. So he has half of the puzzle that we need to defeat Zeromus. And EizanTayama is taking on Rubicante.
Aha, Kobahi filling us in. Apparently the Baron Castle gave you the pan, which turned into the Darkness Crystal from Sylphs, and the Pink Tail from Sheila.
Sheila's always got the best items.
Always.
Oh my goodness. What a match this is turning out to be. River's just picking up all the key items today. And Nightdew going into Dwarf Castle, and going to take on that Mylon 1 fight and demist and pick up his Excalibur sword shortly.
Yep, and we see Eizan's decided to take on the Rubicante spot, so we'll see how much trouble he has with that.
That is a good question in chat. Has anyone seen what the demist gives us? Oh, it's
Yes,
a white robe.
The demist was a white shirt.
Oh, lovely.
Another question in chat. Does the pink tail equal the pass? The pink tail gives you an adamant armor, the best armor in the game. Gives you a +15 to all stats and the maximum defense value in the game. Meanwhile, we're seeing Invenerable take on the usurping king of Baron, Golbez. Gonna go through this rather lengthy cinematic scene and then get rewarded with his pan.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's only 3 spots left on the Earth that people have not done yet, which is going to be the CPU at Ashura spot, which Eizan is attempting now, the Rubicante at Leviathan spot, and whatever might be in Sealed Cave. Nope, I'm wrong. There's also the lower Tower of Babel, which I don't think we've seen anyone in. And then whatever is behind Tower Key. So I think that's, 5 spots still left on Earth before they decide, hey, we need to go to the moon. Oh, yep, chat also pointing out Odin spot, thank you. 6 spots before we give up on the Earth and dive moon. Yes, Ground Flyer. Rivers and Nightdew are both in Dwarf Castle right now. You get an Excalibur for doing the Dwarf Castle, and then you get a white shirt for turning in the Demist.
EizanTayama taking on the CPU and going for destroying both of the orbs and taking some Globe 199, 9,999 damage hits, and using some of those life potions to pick up his party members and just power through.
It's definitely a strat that is, if you've got a party that can outspeed the CPU, it's definitely a viable strat. You can just continuously cast Quake with Palom to get rid of the orbs whenever they get revived, just life potion up whoever gets hit with the Globe 199s, and you'll actually get a very sizable amount of experience after finishing the fight as well. Ashura is a spot that is kind of speedy, but if you've got something like a Curse Ring on Cecil, or anything that kind of brings everyone's agility to equal amounts, it's definitely a fight that is doable.
Why would you want to bring someone's agility down? I thought that we were trying to speed up our characters' Supremacy.
So Final Fantasy IV is weird. It was
Say
one
no
of the
more.
first games that introduced the concept of ATB. So, but they didn't really have the down pat yet. So what they decided was that there is an ATB system that kind of ticks down and says, well, this is how many, this is how long you have to wait between turns. But since Cecil's always in your party, they made him what is considered the anchor. So there's this concept of relative agility. So you'll take whatever the agility of Cecil is, and that will be used as a baseline for both bosses and the rest of your party, in terms of how many turns they get, essentially. One of the neat things about the randomizer is that, so in the vanilla game, you always have Cecil in your party, except for like 2 or 3 fights where you are in a cutscene battle, and instead of using his agility, it uses the agility of whoever is in quote-unquote the top spot, which, because Final Fantasy IV is weird, is the center, because everyone knows that you start counting in the center. But
Thank you for that explanation.
Yep.
It looks like Invenerable. And it's the Magus Sisters. Interesting. Now, the Magus Sisters are obviously aligned with elmagus, but today are showing up to defend the Odin spot for key items in today's randomized seed. So they're taking a break from their alliance with elmagus to guard key items.
Yep, and Invenerable is deciding to do this fight. He's got pretty good levels. He's got Quake. The Mega Sisters do hit kind of hard, but with just repeated use of Quake, he should be able to take them out without too much trouble.
I agree. I agree with Quake doing 2,000 to 3,000 damage a turn, and the HP of the Odin spot being split across the 3 Mega Sisters. He should make short order of this. Meanwhile, Nightdew is turning in that Sheila item 1 for the Baron key. Gonna go to Baron at some point soon and pick up his pan. Get rewarded with that. And River's heading down into music hype, giving the viewers what they want. EizanTayama still chugging away at that CPU spot. I, for one, hope that this is a rewarding key item check for him. Invenerable just destroying the Mega Sisters. Cecil with an Artemis a samurai bow and Artemis arrows just putting the pain on Cindy, doing 4,000 damage a hit. Nightdew gonna pick up that white shirt for Rosa in Mist, and Invenerable rewarded with the Tower Key, which is an interesting item here because some of our other runners have decided to dive the Tower of Babel without the Tower Key, meaning that they are committing to potentially double dipping the tower. EizanTayama taking down the CPU. We're going to see what is behind that key item here in just a few moments.
Yeah, that CPU is definitely a gamble. We'll see if it pays off.
And he gets
just
the spoon.
Swamp womp.
It is another key item, getting Eisen closer to that 10 key item total, and that may be the difference. Or it may not. We'll see if it pays off for him. He did also get quite a bit of experience from that fight. Gonna exit out, though, and let's see where he goes next. Invenerable, meanwhile, gonna turn in that rat tail. Let's see which key item he gets from that. Picks up the Sand Ruby. Another key item, but pretty useless for our party now, considering. And Nightdew, Diving Baron. Gonna pick up that pan shortly. And Rivers, taking on Bagan. Gonna get his rat tail. So we're seeing a lot of our runners just kind of clean up where each other have been. Not surprising with the top 8 Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise League runners facing off. EizanTayama heading to Dwarf Castle. Gonna get that Mist Dragon key item spot. Gonna take out that Dwarf Castle spot. Gonna just clear out all the things. Invenerable gonna make his Excalibur.
Yep. I'm guessing that means that Invenerable has not done the Dwarf Castle yet. Unless he really just wants to check what's at the shop, since we know that Dwarf Castle also gives an Excalibur. So no real reason to craft one unless you really need gold.
Quite possible. elmagus picking up his Baron key, going to be following in Nightdew's footsteps. neerrm also taking on Golbez at Baron, and going to be rewarded with his pan. And Swimmy looking to take on Valvalis and upgrade his Dark Knight into a Paladin with a potentially lethal Excalibur. Scratchdragon wants some levels and pops a few sirens. Gonna crack open some eggs and gain some experience for his party.
Yeah, Scratch just got that Darkness Crystal from the Sylph Cave, so curious to see if his strategy here is, hey, let's grind some eggs and go dive moon bosses, see what's up there. From the looks of it, I think Invenerable is the only one that's done the Odin spot to get the tower key. So if that tower key pans out for him, then that's going to be a very, very good lead for him.
It would have been really funny if the pan was at the tower and you were making a pun, but you weren't. But I want to point out that I see what you're doing there, Supremacy. You're trying to affect the timeline, change where the key items are. I like it. It is interesting, though, that none of our runners have that have gotten the Darkness Crystal have decided to immediately run to the moon. With good reason. There are plenty of key item spots to check down here. However, in a race like this, where you just need to be one of the top 6 to advance, sometimes gambles can be worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
neerrm taking down Golbez, freeing Baron from the bondage of Golbez. Swimmy facing off against his Lunar fight. His Dark Knight Cecil taking a nap, but it's okay. He's going to get right back up as a shiny Golden Paladin soon enough. elmagus taking on that first Baron fight with the Dark Knight. I do want to point out how lovely it is to see like Dark Knight Cecil at the Bagan spot and then Golbez at the King of Baron Kainazo vanilla spot. It's just like very flavorful. It seems like interesting to me. Scratchdragon still taking on some of those eggs and gaining some levels. Let's see if he decides to go to the moon. neerrm finishing up Golbez and gonna get rewarded with that pan. And elmagus going into his Golbez fight. And Swimmy getting that class upgrade. If this were a Paladin % speedrun of Final Fantasy IV, this is where he'd be hitting his done. However, he's going to take on that Mylon Z fight and get rewarded with that key item spot as well. Meanwhile, Scratch is turning in his pan and getting his pink tail. Let's see if he decides to turn that in for the adamant armor and head up to the moon. I wouldn't be surprised if that was what he decided to do. neerrm, meanwhile, gonna loot the... going to check the Odin spot, it looks like. And Scratch getting back in his airship. Let's see where he decides to go. Yep, turning in that pink tail. I believe he also has yet to turn in the rat tail too, so this could be a well-routed check for him. Gets that adamant armor. Lovely. Lovely. Question in chat. The other 4 guys ain't being restreamed, are they? From Pidge01. And the answer to that is they are. We are switching between them every so often. So stick around. You'll see how our other 4 runners, EizanTayama, Invenerable, riversmccown, and Nightdew are doing. Apologies there.
How dare you forget about Team Cave Bahamut?
Listen, Cave Bahamut has value to me, okay? I believe in Cave Bahamut. Scratchdragon heading up to the Tower of Zot. Now, this is an interesting play here. Sticking that adamant armor on Cecil, no doubt trying to boost that Excalibur's damage as much as possible with some extra multipliers. And we're seeing Swimmy do almost the same thing, equipping his Paladin Cecil. Now, what do you make of this play, Supremacy? What do you think about Scratch going up the Tower of Zot here instead of running to the moon or perhaps another location?
My guess is that Scratch has to be thinking that the Earth Crystal was pretty early item on when you got it. I believe you got Earth from the Lugay spot, or not Lugay spot, but Dr. Lugay and the Baron Inn. So relatively early item, thinking that if someone else, if everyone else has done it and it has something super important, and you go on your merry way to the moon and find nothing, then that's very much an easy way to get last place. And in this race, you're not aiming to win. You're aiming for not last place. The bottom 2 will not move on to the next round. So sometimes the high risk, high reward play is not exactly what you want to do. Something that's just going to give you a slight edge over anyone who doesn't miss it might be a bit better.
But excuse me, I don't think Edge is in this seed.
That was amazing. I just wanted to say there. Also, chat pointing out that riversmccown is facing off against the Nope Noodle. Ogo Pogo, one of the meanest bosses in this game, with the big wave attack, indeed a double big wave attack, and a mean physical attack and the ability to counter magic attacks with the blaze spell. He is just super mean, yet we see Rivers destroy him summarily at the top of the Tower of Babel and get rewarded with the pass. Invenerable, meanwhile, facing off against the Calcobrina dolls at the Tower Key spot, our first runner to do so, since he is the first person to have taken out the Odin boss spot. Going to face off against those Calcobrinas, and likely we'll just see a kick or a quake or something. A Stardust Rod. Just take out all of them. This is a very low HP spot. However, it is a very rewarding one, as it gives us another chance at a key item.
Yep, and that's a luxury that Rivers will not have. Rivers did not do the Odin spot, does not have that tower key. So he just did the single dip to find the pass. Probably not extremely happy about that, but not super disappointed. If the crystal turns up on Earth, can now just do the egg grind and go directly to Zeromus. But we will be able to see what Invenerable gets for doing the Odin spots and getting that tower key.
Honestly, I'm hoping for the crystal here. Just because of the timing of having done that, having decided to do that Odin fight right away, and then getting rewarded with both the pass and the crystal at the Tower of Babel, that just seems delightful to me. However, I also would like the crystal to be in the absolute last possible spot that any of our runners check, just so that we have more free enterprise to watch.
I would agree. I'm hoping for the crystal in Cave Bahamut, because we all know where the true value is. And I'm just trying to think of what the worst possible boss left that could be in Cave Bahamut is.
We have seen Wyvern already, so,
I'm going to go with Fabul Gauntlet. I don't think we've seen the Gauntlet yet. I hope it's the Gauntlet at Cave Bahamut with the crystal.
I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at. I think that the true worst boss of Final Fantasy is maybe the friends we met along the way.
Only if it's Edward and Tella.
They're the real final boss. Meanwhile, we have, just checking in with our runners, we have Rivers taking on some of those eggs. Rivers also has been doing all of this key item grabbing without Palom, which is amazing, as to be expected of one of the developers of Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, and one of our top 8 runners, of course. Nightdew facing off against the Magoo sisters, EizanTayama getting his rat tail from the Cave Magnus, and Invenerable doing some equipping. One funny thing about Cave Magnus is that if you exit out of this cave without grabbing the key item, you have to literally just come back here. And I have definitely done that before. Just left. Just been like, you know what? I defeated the Dark Elf boss, and I'm done. I don't actually want this key item.
Looks like Chad is pointing out that the item from the tower key was just a drain spear, so unfortunately the Odin spot is a bust, other than giving you that key item. So Invenerable deciding, all right, let's take care of these Feymarch bosses before diving the moon. We know that Ashura does not have anything useful, but we will find out we might find out what's at the Leviathan spot behind that Rubicante.
Let's see how Invenerable's CPU fight goes. It makes sense that he wants to full clear the overworld before heading up to the moon. He only has a couple spots left to check, so I'm down with this play. Nightdew, meanwhile, having picked up his tower key, gonna pick up his pass at the top of the tower, and then fight the Calcobrina dolls to get his mighty drain spear, which is very useful in this flag set and with these characters. And EizanTayama turning in that rat tail.
And I just want to pop in and let everyone know that we do actually have 2 trackers working on this this morning to make sure that all of the runners get watched. So we have folks watching all of the runs. So don't worry, we're not going to miss out on value.
So we see Invenerable doing a trick on the CPU fight, which is you cast Reflect on some of your party members, and then you cast the Float spell on them. So despite them being floating orbs, none of the things in the CPU fight are immune to Quake. However, you can reflect the Float onto the attacker or defender, and then you can spam Quake to your heart's content without killing them. So you never trigger the Globe 199 counterattack. So you do have a 50% shot of getting it, or 33% shot if you want to put it on the attacker before killing the defender. But it essentially makes the fight pretty trivial because all you have to do is cast a few heals on your party, spam Quake, and the rest of the fight. There's really no danger there. However, we have seen some runners try it in the past and just get they reflect float onto the CPU itself, which then kind of negates the purpose. So you can waste some time if you try too much with that.
Switching over to our other runners, elmagus, neerrm, Scratchdragon, and SwimmyLionni, we'll see elmagus has chosen to dive the moon and is doing some King Ryu grinding. Grinding against the gold dragons that are in the lunar subterrane to get a sweet 90,000 base experience. Not a bad idea at this point in the game. He's doing so in Cave Bahamut to just bring his party up to speed, and in case he finds the crystal here, no doubt, to just rush Zeromus and defeat him once and for all, saving the planet. Meanwhile, Scratchdragon is doing his Babel dive, and SwimmyLionni is turning in his pan, gonna pick up his pink tail and adamant armor, and neerrm is cleaning up the Tower of Babel himself. At this point, folks, just having checked in with all 8 of our racers, this is still anybody's race. I would say that elmagus is likely in a slight lead, provided that Rubicante is not holding the crystal at the King Leviathan spot, just because he's already on the moon, but really anybody could be taking this. Chat asking tower key didn't pan out. The tower key had the drain spear as its reward.
Yep, it looks like Magus is checking for the value in Cave Bahamut, so we will see at least what the boss is there. He should have the levels to take out whatever's there, but you never know.
And it's Mom Bomb. Interesting.
Yep, not the worst boss you can find. Just basically does physical attacks. They're gonna hit a little bit hard, but with 2 white mages, you can just cast Blink on your party members and not really worry about it too much.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also at like some of these higher HP spots, it's actually nice to see Mom Bomb because all you have to do is the like proc HP worth of damage. Like to get Mom Bomb to turn into her second form and then do 7,000, I believe, additional damage on top of that to kill her. So if you're already dealing like 2,500 damage, 4,000 damage with your virus spells and your Excalibur physical attacks, it's highly likely that you are not going to see that explosion of babies from the Mom Bomb when it explodes into a bunch of gray bombs and regular bombs. neerrm, meanwhile, getting his Drain Spear, gonna take his Darkness Crystal and head to the moon on the big whale. Scratchdragon, facing off against the Calcabrina dolls, gonna get rewarded with his Drain Spear, having already picked up his pass from Ogopogo. And SwimmyLionni, popping a quick cabin, gonna take on that Baron Odin spot shortly.
Yeah, so we see Swimmy equipping the adamant armor on his Cecil. Decides, I don't care about all this agility anchor nonsense. I want Cecil with an Excalibur to hit hard and hit fast.
Not a bad idea with that Excal doing work on the seed. neerrm getting a fluorescent shrimp, it seems, off of the mouth of the dragon near Mysidia. Not sure what that's about, but I'm all for it. elmagus finishing up that Mom Bomb fight and getting the Luca key. Interesting. Now, what do you do here? You've just gone to the moon. You have the Luca key. Do you head back to Earth or do you keep clearing out the moon? It is really a difficult choice to make because, either one could damn you. However, in this race where all you need to do is not finish last, you might want to go check it.
I think I do what elmagus is doing. You save on the moon, and then you go run all the way down there, and if it's not an item that you need, you reset out, and now you're still back on the moon, and you know that it's only going to be one of those final 5 bosses that has it. Unless it's at the Rubicante at the Leviathan spot, because I don't think we've seen that yet. So,
absolutely. neerrm, meanwhile, heading into the Crystal Palace, decides to ignore Cave Bahamut, and wants to take on some of the bosses down there. Our first runner to do so on screen. elmagus doing what he does best, heading to the sealed cave. I don't actually know what that means, but...
All right, turns out that the Rubicante at Leviathan was the magma key, so the only options left are Lunar Subterrane and Sealed Cave.
I have to say that it's sort of delightful to have Rubicante holding the magma key wherever he is, because he's the fire fiend. He's the elemental archfiend of fire, and of course he'd have the magma key. It's fire elemental. elmagus running down the sealed cave. Excuse me, sorry.
I was going to say, just with who's on screen right now, it's really going to come down to who's right between elmagus and neerrm to determine who is going to be in the lead. If the crystal is at the sealed cave, which there are no more fetch quest items, so it's either going to be the crystal or a piece of trash. We know where the crystal is going to be, so should be interesting.
Very, very interesting. Oh, I'm very excited to see which bosses that we run into here, too, because these are some of the tougher boss spots in the game that our runners are about to check. Here's the moment of truth. We're heading into the crystal room in the sealed cave, and we find a life staff. Not a terrible thing to find, but an immediate reset for elmagus. Knows that the crystal's on the moon now. All he has to do is find it. And it looks like neerrm is on the right path to find the crystal. Let's see where it is. I'm going to call that it's at the Wyvern spot. Checking in with our other runners, however, we see that EizanTayama is finishing up Baron, and Invenerable is finishing up Dwarf Castle, clearing out the overworld. And it looks like riversmccown has the crystal and is our first runner to head into the Zeromus fight. Officially in go mode and about to take on Zeromus. See if chat can point out where that crystal was. It was somewhere either in the Pale Dim, Wyvern, Ogopogo, D-Lunar, or Plague spots. We know that for sure now. Nightdew, grinding on some gold dragons. And Rivers, famously answering the question today, our first runner to do so, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
Yeah, it's amazing to note that Rivers still only has 4 characters. Decided that Quake Kid, just not worth it, doesn't care. He's gonna just 4-man with two fighters and 2 white mages.
I love it. I love where his head's at. And we are fighting, oh my goodness, it's Zeromus.
I have no idea what this is.
Well, let me just tell you what Zeromus is from. Oh wait, no, I have no idea either. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I actually really like that Rivers does not have Palom here. He's just going for the 2 white mages and the 2 Zerkers, and very safe strat here. With Yang dealing 3,000 damage, Cecil dealing 5,000 damage, this is going to be a quick fight even without that 5th party member. Nightdew checking for value on Cave Bahamut, not a bad idea. Invenerable heading up to the moon. And EizanTayama is cracking some eggs, looking to gain some levels for his party. Not a bad idea here. We're seeing some Berserk spells go off, of course, on Rivers' screen. Berserk is a very important spell during the Zeromus fight. We'll frequently see our runners use it because it has the dual benefit of both increasing your attack speed and your regular turn speed, as well as auto-attacking with your character so you don't have to waste time inputting their commands.
So we also see Rivers berserking Rosa. The Porum has 2,100 hit points as a result of all the golden apples. So Rivers is feeling comfortable just letting her do all the healing work and have everyone else just hitting.
I'm very into this strat. No doubt has that white robe on Porum. Porum only taking 1,000 damage, where Cecil's taking 1,800 from that Big Bang. Magic defense going to work. With 4 characters, the Cure 4 will also be slightly more effective, healing for about 1,800 HP. And I'm liking this strat. I'm liking this try-Zerk strat here. It's fast. Rosa with the Artemis arrows, going to be dealing tons of damage. Just lovely playing we're seeing here from riversmccown.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think someone in chat mentioned that Rivers put the adamant armor on Porum. So
Oh, my mistake there.
I'm not sure which. I'm not sure yet. So
Penguinator in chat positing that the adamant should be on Cecil or Yang with this party, and that he thinks that there's a white robe on Porum. Really could be any. Either way, we're seeing Zeromus' HP just go down the tubes, just getting destroyed here. Black Hole spell going off, going to remove those Berserk statuses, but honestly, with this party, we'll be getting our fighters Zerked up again. And Invenerable heading down to what looks like could be the D-Lunar spot, one of the popular choices to check for the crystal in the Lunar Subterrane. Let's see if that pays off for him.
yeah, it's always interesting to see how runners will route the Lunar Subterrane when going in. I know when it comes to efficiency of item density, you kind of always want to run down to the bottom because the D-Lunar spot has the 2 chests, and you're right next to the Plague spot with
and we see the flash, apologies for interrupting you there, from Rivers. He has taken down Zeromus, our first runner to do so, and just celebrating with a white magic spell cast. I love it. I love it. GG to Rivers. We'll see if we can get him here in an interview for for an interview in just a few seconds. Checking in with our other runners, we have elmagus taking out another one of the bosses, looking for that crystal, and neerrm doing much of the same. Swimmy taking on Ogopogo, and Scratchdragon fighting the CPU.
Yeah, so Magus finds a crystal, not the one he wanted, but he found the crystal sword in its vanilla location.
Oh my goodness. That is actually not a terrible thing to find. We'll give his Cecil a little bit of an edge in the Zeromus fight. neerrm facing off against Bahamut. Let's see if Bahamut is holding our crystal tonight. There might be value at Bahamut yet, Supremacy.
Sometimes the value follows Bahamut instead of staying in the cave.
He just takes it with him. elmagus heading down to check a couple more spots. You see, it's interesting for us as the commentator, since we didn't see where Rivers got the crystal, but we know it's in one of these spots. So like there's like a tension that I'm feeling, like where is this crystal? Like I also want to know. It's delightful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think someone in chat said that it is from this Bahamut spot, but I don't know if they're being serious.
It would be, I'd be happy for you if it was. Just wanted to put that out there.
Well, we'll see in a second.
Let's see how the presence of Palom will change folks' strats at Zeromus. And we do see the crystal sword at the Bahamut spot, at the vanilla D-Lunar spot. And we have our first place finisher, riversmccown, joining us today in the interview. How are you doing, Rivers? GG.
It's good to be in the interview, Alexa. How's it going?
It's also good to be in the interview. I have to admit. Well played, sir. I really liked your Tri-Zerker Palomless Zeromus fight. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, when I had Excalibur and Yang with adamant armor, I figured I could probably do this pretty easy. I over-leveled it just a little bit, I think, Underworld, and then getting 200k and the crystal was like, well, I guess I can use Rosa for this, can't I?
That's amazing. Was that a samurai bow you had on Rosa?
Yeah, the samurai bow and an Artemis arrow.
Just delightful. It was really a lovely Zeromus fight to watch. And honestly, like, he went into Meteo phase and then was immediately dead with that, like, Yang and Cecil damage coming at him. Ugh, delightful. What was going through your head as you were on the way to the Zeromus fight?
I was thinking that fading Palom probably was what has put me in the lead, if anything, because just there's so many ripple effects from that decision, like fighting Rubicant, fighting CPU Underground, like fighting Mega Sisters. Like those are all bosses that would be very good for Quake, and I didn't have it. So I was like, well, I guess I got to make this play then. And turns out that was the right way to play this particular seed.
And it ended up working out really well for you. I honestly loved seeing it. You are our only runner to have eschewed Palom. Right now we have elmagus and neerrm side by side heading into the Zeromus fight, with neerrm just a little bit ahead of elmagus. However, elmagus has the crystal sword, which he picked up at the vanilla location, which may give him an edge against neerrm. But we're going to see how it plays out. Rivers, any final thoughts before you head into your rest period before your next match?
Nah, go everybody else, and good luck with the rest, guys. Looking forward to seeing who makes the top 6.
Me as well. Thank you for coming in. neerrm and elmagus about to find out whose butt we're about to kick. Scratchdragon heading into the underground, and we have Swimmy facing off at Dwarf Castle.
I just want to interrupt for a second. I want to say that Invenerable has also entered Zeromus, but I can't have all the screens up at once. But there are 3 people currently fighting Zeromus right now.
Thank you for keeping us up in the loop. It looks like second place could be anyone's game at this point. We're seeing neerrm Silkweb down and Zerk up, and elmagus just starting his fight. Looks like he'll be going for Reflect strats, not a terrible option, as predicted earlier by Supermacy and I. and just dishing out some of those white spells.
Yeah, I don't expect anyone to have a whole lot of trouble with Zeromus once they get there, unless they go severely underleveled, which I don't think anyone is. Rosa is going to be able to cure through it. You've got pretty good equipment with, White Shirt, Adamant Armor, Excalibur, or Crystal Sword on Cecil, so it'd be very unlucky to see somebody actually take a wipe to Zeromus, because it either means an extremely lucky roll or, a missed input or something.
Very much agreed. Very much agreed. This seed was very kind considering the party members that we had and the equipment that we had along the way. I also don't expect there to be a whole lot of trouble with the Zeromus fight unless they get like a high roll Big Bang or something like that. Scratchdragon facing off against Elements, looking for that crystal, gonna find it shortly, as we know that it is at the vanilla D-Lunar spot.
Yeah, so what I was saying right before Rivers finished is that there's two different camps when you're on the K2 flags and you have to go kill all the moon bosses. Of how do you approach the moon bosses? Do you go top down like Scratchdragon is doing, and you do the pale dim spot and then the Wyvern spot and then the other three? Just because that means that if it's in one of those, if it's in the pale dim spot, you don't have to backtrack all the way back up the lunar subterranean. Or do you go with the higher density, which is go all the way down at the bottom first, start with D-Lunars, there's 2 items there, then you're right next to 2 other items, and then you work your way back up. If the crystal is at the pale dim spot, the top down obviously looks like a much better approach. If it's in a spot like it is today in the D-Lunar spot, the bottom up also looks like a better approach. And we do see elmagus finish in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour 38 minutes and 44 seconds.
GG to elmagus. Let's see if we can get him here for an interview. He used reflect strats for to great effect there, and was just plowing through all that HP. Not a bad idea. Neerrm, meanwhile, in Meteo phase. And we have elmagus here. GG, elmagus.
GG.
So, how'd you feel about having to nope out of Ashura and then come back later for it?
Not good, but at the same time, it wasn't the end of the world. I mean, I know exactly where Star Veils were at that point because I checked every shop but one, so that was great. But yeah, take the time loss. It's okay. I mean, obviously not ideal, but I wasn't too worried about it.
Hey, second place, still not bad. Definitely enough to continue moving on.
Yeah, I guess Rivers just like bum rushed the 2 chest room.
Yeah, Rivers also never picked up Palom, so he skipped a lot of bosses that Palom was doable. Like, he didn't bother trying CPU, he didn't bother trying Rubicante, he just kind of went to the moon and found the crystal at the D-Lunar spot, and then just ran for 4.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm just very happy about my Zeromus fight, that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, thanks.
It was a lovely fight,
it looked
elmagus.
incredibly clean.
Yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous. Also want to cut in and point out that Neerrm also finished up just before we switched runners, and will no doubt be joining us shortly for an interview. And Invenerable is not far behind. Meanwhile, Nightdew has also gotten into his Zeromus fight, getting things underway. And EizanTayama is checking the moon spots as well.
Yeah, looks like there was an Avenger at that plague spot, so that should help a little bit in the Zeromus fight. And just throw either, I don't know if he has the Crystal Sword or Excalibur on Cecil, but swap that into Avenger and let him go to town. I think Eizan and Swimmy are the only ones currently not in the Zeromus fight at the moment, so currently, unless somebody takes a major wipe, it looks like those might unfortunately be our 2 that get eliminated.
Looks to be that way. We'll see how that plays out. Invenerable getting the flash, taking down Zeromus, our 4th place finisher. Let's see if we can get him in here for an interview as well. I just want to take a moment while we're waiting for the next interviews and seeing folks take on their Zeromus fights to thank our restream team, Natara, thank RPG Limit Break for hosting the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise League, and our lovely trackers. You can see them in the Discord. You can just get the... Bill Bodix and Maggie just crushing it today, keeping up with all 8 of our runners.
Absolutely. Shout out to them.
Nightdew, finishing up his Zeromus fight. Reflected spells, nukes, whites, just gonna tear through that HP with the hybrid stats. And we have neerrm joining us. GG neerrm on your 3rd place finish. How are you feeling, buddy?
I don't know. I felt like I was behind most of the time, so to finish 3rd is actually kind of a surprise.
Understood. And we also have Invenerable joining us. GG on your 4th place finish, Invenerable.
Hey, thank you. I'll take it.
neerrm, what was going in your head as you were on the way fight? You saw the dot done, I believe, on your way down. What were you thinking?
I was really hoping the crystal wasn't in one of the spots I skipped, and fortunately for me, it wasn't. And it happened to be the first spot I checked on the moon, which is really, really nice. I kind of lucked out in that regard, but ultimately, I wasn't too concerned because at that point, I was already geared up and ready to go. Cecil with an Excalibur and Adamant Armor is gonna rip through anything, so I felt like I was in okay shape, even though Rivers had finished.
Wait,
Right
you
on.
skipped places on Earth? What are you doing, neerrm?
Just to let both of you know, Rivers never picked up Palom, and that's where he saved a lot of the time, is on those spots that you would have checked with Palom, like Rubicante or the Mega Sisters or anything like that. Like any spot that like Quake would have made easy, Rivers pretty much skipped because he didn't have Palom.
Yeah, given the sheer amount of, well, like, completing everything on Earth except Sealed Cave, because I never found the Luca key, luckily, I feel pretty good about that. And also being very fortunate to go to the right spot first when I went to the moon. I'm like, 200,000 experience will put me perfect levels for Zeromus, given the Excal and Adamant and everything. So I'm like, let's go there. And sure enough, boom, crystal. And very rough start on that one, though.
Yeah, the Luca key was at Cave Bahamut, but only yielded a life staff.
Ooh. Oh, did someone go there for the value?
Yes, elmagus did.
Gotcha.
Just cutting in here, Nightdew has finished 5th, and will no doubt be joining us shortly. neerrm and Venerable, any last thoughts? I'll start with you, neerrm. Any final thoughts before you head into your next match?
I hope I play the next one better because I felt like this wasn't my best, but it just happened to work out. So hopefully going forward, we do a little bit better.
I dig that 3rd is you not playing your best. I think I like that confidence. Invenerable, any thoughts from you?
Oh yeah, same. Lost so much time at the start there, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, seeing Palom, thinking maybe I can get him elsewhere, but then I'm like, no, I want him now, and then, it was a little bit of a train wreck, but we came through in the end.
Yeah,
All right.
So it turns out that Rivers' decision to skip Palom and do what he did was right, but it very easily could have been at like the CPU in Fey March, and then he would look silly. So
Yeah.
And that is the nature of the rando. Thank you very much for joining us, neerrm, Invenerable.
Thank you.
And we have Nightdew joining us. GG Nightdew, how are you doing?
Not too bad. I am totally happy to hear that somebody else totally went out on that Palom bait. I skipped it the first time, then I'm looking into everything. I'm like, I have no offense. I've still got Pain Man running around. I got Valveless in my way. I'm gonna Siren grind to get past Valveless anyway. So you know what? Why not pick up Quack Kid? Why not get that? Oh man, that was a brutal opening opening to the seed though.
yeah, that's another thing that happened to Rivers is that when he first went to scale Ordeals, he didn't have Palom, so he had no way to actually kill Vivalis there because all the physical attacks were missing and didn't have the Twin Magic or Palom's Quaker Virus to actually deal with Vivalis. So ended up going completely different routes as a result.
Yeah, that was. I felt like it fell all the way together. I felt a little bit behind after that. I figured, everybody took their wipe to Wyvern probably. I figured a couple people probably went with, having Pain Man in your party, taking that one wipe to Valvolus. I just didn't know how to get back, because I'm sure everybody was just running around at the opening to that with no offense whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely. So 5th, you are one away from the cusp. Right now, we do have the last 3 fighting for 6th. I believe Scratchdragon is the only one in the Zeromus fight, though. So something very horrible will have to happen to him for either Swimmy or EizanTayama to catch up.
Oh, that feeling when you see a bunch of people as you're walking up to Zeromus. I'm like, hey, there's only one person finished, and I'm walking up to Zeromus, then, elmagus, neerrm, Invenerable all pile in, and it's, the heart rate goes up immensely at that point in time. But hey, I'm happy to move on. It won't cut it for next race, but hey, we're moving on, and there's always a chance.
Well, GG to you again, Nightdew. Thank you for joining us in the booth.
Thank you.
And let's see if Scratchdragon pulls it off. Like my lovely co-commentator said, something really awful would have to happen. Like, like a high roll big bang. Do.
Yep. I know if you're in Swimmy's position, you have got to be sweating bullets right now. 5 people have already finished, and he has not found the crystal yet.
Absolutely, and it looks like he is heading straight for that Lunar spot. The highest chance of having a key item. It makes sense.
Ooh, we see Scratch nuke his own Yang. The black hole comes out at the wrong time.
However, getting the Cure 4 off with the 3 party members, bringing everybody up to max HP. Ooh, and his Rosa taking a nuke. Only taking 900 damage, so let's see what happens here. Pops an elixir on Rosa, definitely doesn't want her to go down. And, looking for a Star Veil in inventory, doesn't find one, passes the turn, and gets a Cure 3 off on, or excuse me, a Berserk off on Cecil. Swimmy diving down, looking for that crystal. Let's see if he heads to the Lunar spot first. And you can really see, like, Scratch Meteor Face. He is just barely getting it in there. But you could see that with Scratchdragon's menuing that he had to have been sweating bullets, knowing that a couple seconds here could separate him from 6th place and the end. And we see the flash. Scratchdragon has done it. Our 6th place finisher and our last runner to advance to the next round of the playoff finals of the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Highway to the Zemus-Zone. GG to you, Scratch. Let's see if we can get you into an interview. We have Swimmy in the Bahamut fight. Oof. What a nail biter that was, friends. What a nail biter. I'm really excited to interview Scratchdragon and see how he was feeling. GG to both our remaining runners. Excuse me. GG to Scratchdragon, and good luck with the Zeromus fight to our remaining runners. Both of our runners will, of course, be completing their Zeromus fights, playing for honor or pride or whatever you call it. EizanTayama entering his Zeromus fight, and Swimmy about to get his crystal. Let's watch how they do. I also want to take a second and thank RPG Limit Break again for hosting us, for hosting the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise League. They have been very kind in allowing us to stream this on their channel, and we are just so delighted to be here. I also want to thank our restreamer, Natara, again, who will be restreaming all 3 of our matches today. And I want to thank you, Supermacy, for being my lovely co-commentator, and all of you in chat for being patient with me as my internet borked.
Yeah, and thank you as well for commentating. It's always a blast commentating with you.
Takes one to know one, Supermacy.
So we see Eizan had a Drain Sword and then swapped it to Excalibur and used a Bacchus. So is going to be doing some fancy Drain Sword strats. I don't know if it's the right play, but when you already know you're not advancing, it's certainly the swag play. Although, looks like it did not glitch out, because you do need the Avenger for that, and Eizan trashed the Avenger for a reason I do not know.
Understood. Yeah, I did not see the Avenger trashing, but I do like seeing a gigantic Zeromus-sized boss sprite eat a nuke. Always a good spell animation to see. We see a Cure 3 go off on the party, and the shake that foretells a big bang going off. Oh, Eizan was likely just manipulating Cecil's agility. Given Cecil's high level, he wanted to drop Cecil's agility just a little bit with that Drain Sword, which gives you a -5 to all of your stats, I believe.
Gotcha.
Which
That
is
makes
why he switched from the Drain Sword to the Excalibur. We see that first big bang go off. And it was unnerfed. Ooh, both of the twins taking a little nap. And let's see if Eizan continues with just the 2 fighters or if he tries to bring folks back online.
Yeah, and I'd like to remind everyone watching that we will have a very small break and then immediately head into the round of 6. So stay in your seats and continue watching RPG Limit Break throughout the rest of the day for these amazing final matches.
There's more Zemus-Zone coming at you. Oh my goodness, and we are just so excited to see how the next 2 matches pan out. Oh my goodness. I'm really excited for the especially for the final match. Very, very excited for that.
Still got fingers crossed for that CPU demist crystal.
We still haven't seen it. I'm hoping that it's in the final match that we see the CPU demist. That's my
That would be amazing.
ultimate goal. And we have Scratchdragon joining us. GG to you, sir. You made it.
Oh yeah, just barely. Goodness, what a seed.
How did you feel, like, knowing that 5 people had finished and, like, you're on, like, your Zeromus fight, you haven't seen that Meteor yet, your characters start going down, Rose's HP starts going down, like, what was that like for you?
I think at one point I just put down the controller, said Berserk Cecil, take the wheel, and sat down in my chair. Because I was standing up when that happened.
I like where your head's at in stress.
It's like watching a football game. But no, I mean, the seed was alright. I made some really boneheaded decisions on what to do. But, I mean, end of the day, it's just don't lose, right?
That is correct. That's what you needed to do to advance, and advance you did, my friend.
Ooh,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the fact that the crystal was on the moon, I was like, I said, I'm not going to win if the crystal is on the moon. That's what I said. I could still get like 4th, 5th, or 6th if I don't dive the moon. Then I saw the first 3 finish. I was there like, it's on the moon. It's probably going to be in the last place I check. And luckily it was just in the Lunar spot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you didn't have to win to advance this one, but you do have to win the final to take it all. Scratchdragon, GG to you, sir. I'm glad you were able to pull through.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for joining
GG's to
us.
everyone.
Any final thoughts?
I just need to make one more.
You got this.
That's the final thought. All right, we got this. GG's to everyone.
All right, thank you for joining us. EizanTayama finishing up, taking down Zeromus. Also, a question in chat: what was the 1 to 6 finish sequence? It was Rivers, elmagus, neerrm, Invenerable, Nightdew, and then Scratchdragon. Meanwhile, we have SwimmyLionni in his Zeromus fight. Gonna be making short work of Zeromus, and let's see if we can get EizanTayama in for an interview. GG to you, Eizan. This has been quite the match, from that rocky start in the beginning to the powerhouse characters that we were awarded in this C3 seed, all the way to the nail-biting grasp for second place between elmagus and neerrm, and just it's been a great match is what I'm trying to say, and I'm very grateful to be here with all of you.
Yes, as this one comes to a close, we should see Swimmy closing it out here shortly, and then I believe the top 6 are already getting ready for the next race.
And GG Swimmy.
And there it goes.
There it is. Thank you all for tuning in. And we'll be taking a quick break here, and then we'll have more Zemus-Zone for you in just a few minutes.
Yeah, this is Natara just popping in, letting you know, getting everything set up right now for the next match as we go. Please just relax, chill with some music while we get set up, and we'll try and get this started as soon as possible. But please make sure to give a follow to all of those runners. They all did an amazing job. And also to our lovely commentary team and our trackers. We will be switching commentary and trackers for the next match. So look forward to that, and we'll hear from you again soon.